Hello, I'm Christina, and I am so glad you are here. I've been trying out a new format here, and that's kind of a vlog style. I have had the last 2 weeks doing a whole bunch of really fun things. I brought my camera along so I can take you with me. One of the first things that I want to show you is what I have been working on. It is the coolest project ever. Kind of was inspired, and the project is turning out even better than I had hoped for. And this is something that you could actually create for your booth, or even for your own home, or maybe turn into something to create as a gift. So I think you're really going to enjoy it, and it's easy, so you don't have to worry about that. I also went to the amazing Livingston Antique Mall to get some inspiration, to see some beautiful booths, just to shop and enjoy all of the things. That's what I was expecting to do, but when I got there, something very unexpected happened. In fact, I met someone, and it was totally unplanned for and absolutely wonderful. So stay tuned for that. Finally, I'm going to take you to my booth at Plaza Antiques and Collectibles Mall. Halloween is now over, so Christmas is here, and you can say Christmas loudly and proudly, and usually people won't tell you it's too early. Well, most people won't. Some people still wait till after Thanksgiving, but for me, it's time to get rid of the pumpkins and bring in one more new display. So I hope you will come along for all of that. This is the before of my project I've been working on. And I had the crazy idea to turn it into a gingerbread house for the holidays. It was a sad little dollhouse I found curbside, and I knew it needed a makeover. It had been sitting in my booth for over a year. Decided to paint it a brand new color. I mixed up my favorite paint, DIY paint, with 3 parts Summer Crush, 1 part cake batter, and a half a part of layered chocolate to make this gingerbread color. And it really is the perfect color to turn this dollhouse into a gingerbread house. Now, DIY paint does lighten as it dries, so it will be the richer color once we seal it. But now that I had a first coat on, I needed a second coat to really fill in. DIY is heavily pigmented with great coverage. And today is the most beautiful morning. It is totally fall. It is the day after Halloween, so we can start talking Christmas, which is very exciting. What I really want to do today, though, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, is I'm going to head to the Livingston Antique Mall to get inspiration and maybe do a little shopping. You never know. Howell, Michigan is about an hour northwest from where I'm located in Detroit, Michigan, and it was a beautiful drive, and I arrived right when they opened, and I was so surprised to see this person when I got out of my car. That is Yvonne from Ginger Chick Rehabs. And if you don't follow her already, you should head over and give her a like and a follow. This was the first time we had met, and it was an absolute pleasure. I think she may be also doing a video, so you might want to head over to her channel and see what she found at the Livingston Antique Mall. I have to say, after that meeting, I was a little thrown. I don't usually meet famous YouTubers when I'm out and about, and it was so nice we finally got to meet. Every time I talk to people, they just assume that Yvonne and I are best friends. And now that we've met, I have to tell you, she's one of the nicest people. So maybe we will do something in the future. This mall was definitely set up for Christmas, and I was excited. I mean, Jadeite, Christmas, Santa, it's all there. But I was looking at displays, and I wanted to get good ideas for my booth location and how to make things pretty. And one of my favorite things to do is to check out other antique booths. I loved this booth. Those wire trees to hang ornaments are great. And then I'm seeing a lot of silhouettes lately. I've been picking them up. I've been a bit obsessed. And they've actually been selling quite well for me. The workmanship is just absolutely amazing. And check out this red phone. How cute. Loving the big displays here. McDonald's sign. And we have Christmas. Nothing says Christmas like a red thermos. And look at these deer. Oh my gosh, $10 each. I collect those. I don't have them with sparkly antlers yet. I might have to pick those up. I love this pyramid. So much to see. Santa's peeking around. Gotta check it all out. So far, this mall is quite impressive. And one thing I have noticed is every antique mall seems to have their own decorating style. And we're going to see what I noticed in Livingston in just a little bit. But there were beautiful displays. I also love to see the use of old crates everywhere. I love crates. You can use them as a shelf like this one. Check out how they use the outside walls of this booth. Really love the use of grid wall. It allows you to also see inside the booth and gives you plenty of space to hang. What an original idea. All the prints, these are cool. $35. So much good stuff in this booth. Paperweights. Huh. I like how they use the blueberry catcher for display. Oh, look at the box. So pretty. All painted. Lots of old books. One thing I liked is there were two booths put together and they just have this little doorway that you go through. Leaves you a lot of wall space to hang stuff. Also loved the great gift sign and this layaway available sign. Those are good little reminders, especially with the holiday season coming. This booth also had a lot of folk art. This was a little carved table, and then you're going to see even more pieces. It's always so much fun to visit different malls because they just have different stuff than what you're used to seeing. I love the tag here. This says the matriarch. Quite appropriate. I'm also always looking for creative ways to display your items. Sure, shelving works great. Setting up a Hoosier and filling it and packing it, I do the same thing. But here I saw these little racks on the outside of a booth to hold cookbooks. Also, this open shelving I spotted throughout the mall. I really liked it. And of course, I've seen ladders for blankets and quilts, but I really liked the buttons right next to it. Great use of vertical space for items that don't always get seen or are put under glass. What a creative idea. But one of the things I noticed about the Livingston Antique Mall is there was a lot of low center islands. This is different than from when I go to the Maumee Antique Mall right in Ohio. They have higher center areas that you can't see through in the booth. And you're going to see one of those examples here too. I mean, I know it's all personal preference, but a lot of the booths in Livingston had the lower center displays, which I thought were interesting. And they're also staging the tables with items that you would normally find. I also spotted quite a few mid-century kind of lounge area booth designs. And they had the lower center islands, which fit in perfectly, and then a whole bunch of items out on display on the tabletops and flat surfaces. And this is the booth that I was talking about that kind of reminded me of Maumee. It had a big center display and then a small walk area all the way around. Another example of a tall center island. This is still a look I'm trying to master. I did love the mangle though, used as a bar setup. We've been talking a lot about booth display and booth design in my private Facebook booth owners business group. One of the things I feel really strongly about is having your own personal style. I think it is so important that the antique booths show the style of the owner of the booth, that they do their own thing. This is a perfect example. So many great colors are popping out. This is a little bit different than what you would see in other booths, and I think it's what makes it special. If you are a booth owner and you're just trying to do what everyone else is doing, I think you're not only hurting your business, but you're hurting your customers. I think everyone has such an amazing, creative style and take on things. In an antique booth, you really have the opportunity to show it and do a little bit crazy, funky things. And this will also get your booth known and recognized. For instance, check out the turkey booth. This I love. I happen to have a collection of vintage turkey salt and pepper shakers, so sure, this booth might not be for everybody, but it was just so unique and original. And stay tuned to the end. I'll show you the turkeys that came home with me. Now let's take a look at some more really creative booths. Love the retro kitschy vibe of this one. Very appropriate for the holidays. And then this booth, you walk in from one side of the booth and then you go in a U all the way around. And there are literally beautiful displays everywhere. I think one thing to keep in mind as a booth owner, and this is so hard, this is something I struggle with and also strive for, and that is your booth should have a whole bunch of spots that are Instagram worthy picture areas. This space, this booth had height, had levels, had color, and great display throughout. And I could seriously zoom in on almost anything and find a beautiful picture that I could just post right on Instagram. If you spend a little time in the setup, then when you're going around to take photos, you don't have to restage your booth. It is already there. And this was just a beautiful booth to see. This was another booth where the owner was truly embracing their style. We also have a lot of mid-century items, but it was a beautiful space, well lit, and once again, you could go through with a camera and just take so many beautiful pictures. And you know I love a good salvage booth, and this one was just so good. So let me spotlight it and show it to all of you. Wow. Salvage land. Grates. Doors. Yeah. All salvage, baby. Ooh, capitals. They have terracotta capitals. So this visit to the Livingston Antique Mall has just reminded me to follow my own heart and my own style as a vintage booth owner, because those booths are the most memorable and the most enjoyable to shop. I hope you have enjoyed this visit, and I hope you make a visit to the Livingston Antique Mall right in Howell, Michigan. Now that my gingerbread house was dry, it was time to make it look more like a gingerbread house, and I needed frosting. but not real frosting. Instead, I'm going to use DIY paint, White Swan, and a product called paint frosting. I used about 1/3 of a cup of paint to a capful of paint frosting, and it plumps up the paint and makes it super thick and just like frosting. This is the perfect product to use in this application or anywhere you want thick paint, and you can use it on any color DIY paint. I applied everything with a palette knife, and I am loving how this is looking. And today is the day. I am going to my booth and I am going to reset it and get it completely ready for the holidays. We had an area that just hasn't been touched in a while, and my new strategy, because my booth space is a little bit larger than most booths, is to kind of deal with one area at a time. That way I don't feel too overwhelmed. And honestly, I think it's good advice for anyone with an antique or vintage booth to just focus in on one area. You don't have to reset the whole booth. I mean, you can if you have time. If you want to like do all that work for a day or two or whatever it needs, feel free. But overall, just keeping things tidy and rotating and working on certain areas can make a huge difference, and it won't completely wear you out. So I have a plan for this section. We're gonna bring in some vintage ornaments. I have a vintage handmade angel costume that I'm hoping to put into the display. I have some ideas, but you never really know until you get in and get working. So come along and join me for the transformation. Hopefully, I can get it done fairly quickly because my daughter has the day off and I'd like to spend the afternoon with her. So let's get going. And it was time to get unloading. Luckily, my antique mall has carts you can use, but this was going to be a 2-cart trip, which isn't too bad. The plan today is to clear the space I am working on. I'm also planning on continuing to use the really big wooden table there. I did put an old blanket from my car underneath before I put the crocheted tablecloth down just to protect it a little bit. Also reusing the glass table that was there. The first step is to kind of build the different heights before I start decorating. And it's always a good idea to find things different heights and different angles and then add all the pretty stuff. After I got the angel's wing and halo on and the Merry Christmas side, the job was complete. Well, at least for today. So let me show you what I've done so far. One final tweak to the display, I added 2 really low end tables in. I did it! So the booth is changed over. It's not done. It is never done. And I really want to make a point because I know there's newbie booth owners, there's just booth owners that have been doing it for a while. There's a whole bunch that are beating themselves up about their displays because sometimes there's just not enough time. I will continue to tweak this booth. Every time I go in, I'll find new things, I'll move things around, but right now, the bones of the display are up. The main Halloween stuff and frankly that one salvagey area that had been that way for the longest time, I think that's my oldest display currently, it's been changed over. It's fresh, it's new, and it's ready for shoppers. So I'm pleased, and just a little reminder to all of you, It is never done. It is always a work in progress. Don't beat yourself up if you feel like your displays are not perfect. Just do what you can do and be proud of what you've accomplished. And that's what I'm going to do today, because the rest of the day I'm off to spend time with my daughter. Remember the gingerbread house that I am working on. There is one finishing touch that I think it needs, and that is some IOD molds. I am using Iron Orchid design molds. If you've never seen me use them before, I do have tons of tutorials here on this channel. I will leave a link above to a video that you could check out to learn more. There is so much you can do with these molds. I use air-dried clay. I'm warming it between my hands. I'm going to be pushing it into the mold. I do put cornstarch in my molds ahead of time, and then I just smush it in and use my thumb to scrape away the excess. I'm going to be gluing these molds down using wood glue. I prefer Titebond wood glue. And then next step is to paint the air-dried clay with DIY Paint White Swan. I paint it before the clay is dry to help prevent cracking. There are so many molds from IOD to really give whatever you're working on a special look. So I'm going to go look through all of my molds and add a whole bunch more to my gingerbread house. And here are the turkeys I got from the Livingston Antique Mall. I loved the light colors and they fit in perfectly with my display. After a little bit more work, let me show you what the gingerbread house looks like now. Now, do you remember what it looked like before? And here is the reveal. I have added a few more molds. I have also sealed in the DIY paint. I used a spray sealer. It was just the easiest thing to use on this project, but it's not completely done yet. Stay tuned. I hope to make a video on this channel showing you the whole process and adding a few more things to the gingerbread house. It has some window boxes that could use a little love, and I think I could do a little bit more to get it ready for the holidays. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. I know I say that every week, but I seriously mean it. I hope also you were inspired with the gingerbread project and maybe you're thinking of what can you do with it or something similar. I'm so excited that I now have pretty mostly Christmas throughout my booth. I still do have one small fall Thanksgiving section that I'm going to leave for a little bit longer. If you stayed for this entire video, I do appreciate you. I want to tell you too that I am very close on Facebook to getting 10,000 likes and follows. Now, I know that's not a huge number in most people's books, but in my book, it is ginormous and it actually will mean a lot for my little business. So if you like what you see here, if you could give me a follow over on Facebook and help me reach my goal by the end of the year, I would really appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next video. Now get out there to salvage, repurpose, and create.